I'll start with The Lake Show. When Dylan Brooks, villain Brooks, victim Brooks, called LeBron old, he wasn't wrong. He didn't lie. He just stated a fact. Dude is old.
I don't care. He's old.
Old as hell. There's no denying that. But what the victim got completely backwards, well, aside from everything else he also said, was that calling that dude old was some sort of a dig or a burn or an insult or a roast. When in reality, it's like one of the more impressive things ever. LeBron is essentially an NBA geriatric. And yet he's still out here absolutely dominating the young man's game. And not just hoisting up jumpers either or showing some random old man strength. I mean, this guy's doing everything. He's getting up and down. He's doing the dirty work. He's crashing the glass. He's drawing charges under the basket. He's laying out for loose balls. He's getting buckets in the clutch. So say what you want about this old man. Say what you want about all of his excuses.
I mean, it's not failure at all.
Say what you want about all of his fibs and caps and lies.
That's a good-ass team over there.
Say what you will about his roster construction or deconstruction. Say what you will about what he did to the greatest movie franchise ever, which was ruin it forever. It's all fair. It's all justified criticism. But what you cannot do is act like he's not still ludicrously impressive on the floor. What you cannot do is act like he's not the most astonishing 38-year-old NBA player ever. You can't act like he doesn't belong right near or at the top of the GOAT conversation, because he absolutely does. And he still wants to prove it to you. And he's still laying out, and he's still leaving it all out there. This 38-year-old dude wasn't just the best player on the floor last night. It wasn't even close. And then he only got better as the game went on, which is why he was once again serenaded by bleeding GOAT sounds from his teammates when he returned to the locker room. There's a word for that. What is it? What is it? Insufferable. But the fact of the matter is, I got to give it to this. You get to be insufferable when you do things like that. When you do things like take over the biggest game of the year so far at 38. When you do things like drive and finish to send the game into OT with a tenth of a second left on the clock. It almost makes you forget all the cringe and how insufferable it can all be. Bah! Bah! That 38-year-old man attacking the rack with under a second left. I mean, bah! Huge bucket, huge spot. Had to go high off the glass to get it over to Jaren Jackson Jr., your defensive player of the year. And he had to do all of that just to tie it. All that so a 38-year-old could go out there and play 5 more minutes. Not only play 5 more minutes, but get that entire team on his back for 5 more minutes. Bah! Bah! As if all of that weren't already enough. He, of course, also had the chance to stick in the dagger in OT in a one-on-one matchup with victim Brooks. I mean, it was all so perfect, right? And, of course, victim was the one who got roasted and cooked. And you got to give it to this guy. Bah! Bah! Remember, it was victim who said that he would not respect the greatest scorer in NBA history unless he personally gave him 40. I'm wondering if victim will instead accept 20 and 20 instead, as in 20 points and 20 rebounds, as in the thing that LeBron did last night and became the oldest player ever to do last night. Not just in a postseason game, but in any NBA game. The oldest guy ever to go 20 and 20. It's incredible. The dude never had a 20-point, 20-rebound game in his entire career until last night. In fact, nobody ever had. And he pulled it off in this game against a team at 38 years of age. So you got to give him a pass because you knew something baggy was coming in the presser. When the guy does something that amazing, somebody's going to bag it up. And it won't just be him. It'll be somebody baggy asking a baggy question, which will elicit an even more baggy response. Notice the correlation between excellence and bagginess. There's a direct line, a direct correlation. He does something absolutely incredible, and then the bagginess follows. He's the LeBron James of bag. There's a hard-hitting question right there, man. Hard-hitting question. It's an insufferable answer, but you know what? I got to give it to this dude. I just have to. You get to be insufferable when you ball the hell out like that at 38. So as much as it pains me to allow it, I am going to allow it, no matter how insufferable or baggy it is, because him going 2020 offsets in a playoff game against a guy who called him out. Him going 2020 essentially offsets how unbelievably insufferable and baggy he can be. 2020 trumps bagginess.
Yep.
Your Highness, do you ever surprise yourself? Yep.
Yep.
Excuse me, Your Majesty, do you ever look in the mirror and just think or ask yourself, how? Yep.
Yep.
Every time I look in the mirror. What you're not supposed to do, however, you're supposed to do what LeBron did. What you're not supposed to do, though, is run a bunch of wild smack before you've accomplished anything at all. Fight way the hell outside your weight class. And write checks with your mouth that you and your teammates cannot cash. And then, worst of all, blame it on everybody else. And then even worse than worst of all, run away, hide, and not own any of it or answer any questions about the guy that you called out who just abused you again. Looking at you, victim. So not only did victim try to blame us, the media, and you, the fans, for his own choice to turn heel and call out LeBron and proclaim proudly and arrogantly that he pokes bears, now he doesn't want to talk about it at all. But you know what's even more lame and more wrong and more whack? Saying what you said prior to that, and then ducking out and avoiding the media and not saying jack squat, which is what he did last night. I mean, would you look at this dude? He comes for the alleged GOAT. He plays horribly. He gets ejected for punching him in the nuts. He blames it on the media and the fans, chases that with another loss in a must-win game when the GOAT has one of his best games ever, burns victim personally again in the game's most critical moments, and then when it's over, victim slips out the back door without owning any of it. So right when you think this dude can't say or do anything to make himself look worse, he lowers the bar yet again. But you know what, though? Maybe a smart play. Maybe for the best. Because he would have only made it worse for himself and his team had he did stay and open up his mouth again. But in the absence of him staying and addressing what just happened, Twitter went to work on his behalf instead. And by going to work on his behalf, what I mean is it dredged up some other totally regrettable smack that I'm sure victim wishes he had back. But he can't because, as always, the internet is in ink. It is unscrubbable. This is what Twitter uncovered. This is what the victim said about LeBron back in January when he decided to brag about having the answer, having the recipe, having the game plan, knowing what to do to stop LeBron. It was that easy all along. NBA, all you guys have to do is force LeBron left. Boom. Problem solved. You could have undid the last 2 decades of NBA history and dominance if y'all just realized back in 03 that this dude does not want to go to his left. He does not want to dribble with his left hand. The answer has been in plain sight all along. Yeah, no, it hasn't. Fast forward to overtime last night. Victim guarding LeBron. LeBron blowing right by Victim with, wait for it, his left hand to stick the dagger in. Could all of this be going any worse for you, Victim? Or any better for the dude that you called old? Has anything that anybody has ever said backfired so spectacularly?
Who doesn't want to go in there?
This is why Le Cap can be a big bag and be insufferable and ruin iconic movie franchises and tell us all massive failures are not failures at all. And it's why we have to sit here and listen to more grown-ass men make goat sounds. That's why we have to put up with all of that. Because that old man over there on the other bench is legitimately great. He might be the greatest, period. And Victim, you yourself are also a goat. Just a different kind of goat. A normal goat. A guy who ran his mouth, proudly claiming that you love to provoke bears, only to have that bear maul you and your entire family. Well played, dude. Well played. And by well played, I mean worst idea ever. And finally, one more note. It took me a minute to get to this because, well, Victim and the GOAT. But I've got some advice for Jaw. Yo, Jaw, assuming that you got the help that you needed, assuming that you're ready to make much better decisions and choices off the floor, let's talk about what you're doing on the floor. Some unsolicited advice, Jaw. You are an incredibly explosive cat. A max player. All NBA, no doubt. Franchise dude, as long as you can make good decisions off the floor. On the floor, describing your game as just aggressive does not begin to describe your game. It's just doing it an injustice. It's a disservice. My man, I think that in the interest of self-preservation, you are going to need to take it down a notch. Not because you're banged up, but because I don't want you to die on the floor. Not get maimed, not impale yourself on the room, but I mean die on the floor. I don't want some PA guy to jump on the mic in the middle of a game and say, "Time to die, Jaw." Thank you so much for watching.